If you find yourself in the vicinity of the Millennium Library tomorrow afternoon at around 2 o'clock, you'll want to swing by the Carol Shields Auditorium. That's where you'll encounter Songs from Treaty 1, a free recital being presented by Dead of Winter and Virtuosi Concerts as part of the City of Song initiative being presented by the Winnipeg Arts Council. The program was constructed alongside Anishinaabe songkeeper Taylor Galvin and features music from 3 Indigenous operas that were created in Canada, 2 of which, Mishabuza's Realm and Lee Kerr, Riel's Heart of the North, have roots right here in Treaty 1. Mezzo-soprano Keely McPeek and baritone Caleb Rondeau are the 2 singers starring in Songs from Treaty 1. They join me live in the Classic 107 studios this morning. Good morning, you two.
Hello. Good morning.
So let's maybe start with you, Caleb. What can audiences expect from this program?
They can expect some very exciting contemporary music from Indians on Vacation by Ian Cusin, and then some other great Indigenous opera, Mishabuza's Realm and Lee Kerr, Heart of the North. Looking really forward to it.
Excellent. Mishabuza's Realm, composition by Andrew Balfour, local Cree composer, and then Lee Kerr, Riel's Heart of the North, winner of a recent Ruby Award in Toronto for a Changemakers Award. That composition by Neil Weisensell, Alex Kusteruk, and Dr. Suzanne Steele. Keely, how has the construction of this program maybe been different from what happens when you construct a typical recital?
Well, this one is all things I have done myself, actually, which I've never done a concert like that before. Like, I've been in all of these shows, and I'm not singing all of the same roles that I sang, so I'm singing some like new things that I haven't sung before. But it's all things that I've been in, which is really cool.
Totally. Well, you've been involved in all 3 of these operas that are being featured. So maybe tell us a little bit, for those who are unfamiliar, about what the process is like, because you've worked in a lot of Indigenous opera spaces. How would you describe the work that's being done to decolonize that space?
So I think one of the things that tends to happen, or should happen, is there's a little more time that's involved. Like, the process is a little bit longer. I think with Lee Could, we had like an extra entire week of rehearsals than they normally do for a show. There's lots of working with language keepers and knowledge keepers, and to make sure we get the language right and the pronunciations right. Because like Lee Could was in 5 languages, 3 Indigenous languages. So we really wanted to pronounce everything right and know what we meant and know what we were saying. So lots of working with elders and knowledge keepers and language keepers, and Indigenous directors, which is always important to have like somebody Indigenous leading the way, because the director like is involved in every aspect of the project. So I think it's always really important to have an Indigenous director leading the way. Sure.
Now, to speak a little bit more about that songkeeper role, Caleb, how has Taylor Galvin been influencing the construction of this concert, the way that it's been built, and also how will she be factoring into the performance tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, so I'm looking really forward to working with Taylor Galvin. She is offering 2 songs, a traveling song, and then also a story about Winnipeg's water about Shoal Lake 41st Station. So that's how she's kind of factoring into the program. And it's just been, we haven't actually met in person yet. We're meeting for the first time on the day, but getting to add that kind of aspect into the program. So there's the opera stuff happening, and also the songs that Taylor's offering is really exciting.
As we've mentioned, these pieces have roots right here in Treaty 1. 2 of these 3 operas that we mentioned created right here in Winnipeg. Caleb, what does it mean to sing music that is so tied to the place that you are actually going to be performing in?
Yeah, so I am Winnipeg born and raised, so it's nice to sing stuff that's like locally created. Winnipeg has such a thriving art scene, and it's so important to highlight that, because I feel like sometimes we get missed. But yeah, I love singing stuff that is like locally made.
Yeah. You're also both recent students, both recent graduates of the Des Hôtels Faculty of Music at the University of Manitoba. Keely, how do you think putting a recital together like this one would have influenced your development as a musician?
Well, when I was in school, I did 3 recitals, sort of. One of them was canceled with COVID, but I put together the program still. And they were all like, I had to fit the requirements for the U of M music, so we had to fit like languages and art song and all the classical stuff, and none of it was like, there was no focus on modern music or like contemporary music, music with living composers. So doing something like this, I think, is a lot more relevant to like things that are happening today and things that are happening in the music world. Yeah.
How do you think, you know what, actually, before I get to that question, Caleb, I have one other question for you, which is that you are now getting into a music education space. What do you think that programs like this and approaches to contemporary music that, like the one that you're modeling, will influence the students that you work with on a daily basis?
Yeah, so going into the music education space, I think that it's really important to bring relevant music to the students because it makes them, more invested in the music because it's stories that they can understand and it resonates with them. So I think that, having a focus on contemporary music, especially in this music education space, it's just really positive for everyone involved.
How do you hope that creating programs like this and creating Indigenous operas like this maybe evolves in the next few years? How would you like to see that sort of creative process sort of be imagined or become a bit more part of a ritual practice that opera companies go through? Maybe I'll start with you on that, Caleb, and I'll shift to Keely after that.
Yeah, I think that making everything more of a collaborative process is just really something that's at the heart of what Indigenous-led opera is all about. And I also say that about choir spaces and basically all Indigenous-led music, because when we're all working together, I think that the end product that we're offering is definitely gonna have a peek through of every person who's involved, and it's so different than just having that one person at the front who's running the show. Yeah,
right. What about you, Keely? How do you think that the process of creating Indigenous opera will become a bit more part of the Canadian opera landscape in the coming years, based on your experiences?
I think a lot of real experiences shown on stage and like real people shown on stage is a big part of it. Like especially with Indians on Vacation, it's set in the modern day, and it's like a real live retired Indigenous couple, and they're like real people. It's a real story. It's like with Likud, we had, I think, I'm sure, the biggest Indigenous audience that had ever come out to an opera at Manitoba Opera. And there were lots of language speakers that said they cried hearing their language on the big stage. And I think there's opportunity for lots more things like that for people that are not represented on stage to be represented on stage in the future.
Another maybe question for the both of you, and perhaps we'll leave things here and start with you, Keely. What do you hope audiences will take away from the program tomorrow afternoon?
I hope that they take away that there is a place for everybody in opera. There's a place for Indigenous people in opera. There's a place for every type of person in opera, and there's like opera for every person. Indians on Vacation is very modern, and it's very the text is very like how we would talk today. It's not all in another language. It's not all in Italian. It's not.
Sure.
It's not. It's understandable language, and it's understandable music. And I want people to know that it's accessible and it's there for them.
Absolutely. What about you, Caleb? What do you hope that folks take away from the program tomorrow?
Yeah, I hope that they, kind of like I was talking about earlier, I hope that they take away the spirit of collaboration that we had throughout this whole project. We talked a lot about the program. We talked a lot about the order. We talked a lot about how we wanted to present it. You'll see us sway. We do a little dance. It's fun.
Ooh, all right.
So I hope that they can see the fun that we had putting it together and the collaboration that we did.